Greetings and welcome aboard to the Heavy Metal Truckers. We are your host. I'm Pincushion. That is Frosty and this is Doppler. And in this video, we are giving painfully our top 5 albums and going over why. And crying later. Or at least I will.
We'll probably have honorable mentions in here.
Oh,
as
there's
well,
gonna be honorable.
because they were that painful to get rid of.
No, honorable mentions. I will be including those because I spent 4 days trying to figure this out.
So who wants to go first?
I think you should go first,
Who?
Pincushion.
I mean, am I going first?
Now, before anybody goes first, I
Well,
want
we
to point
always
out.
go first.
I want to point out that when we made this list, at least I know I did, and when I talked to Pincushion, he said he was doing this as well. When we made this list, it was personal favorite metal. We said we would include hard rock too. Metal hard rock albums. This is not what we think are like the greatest 5 albums. Like I didn't take into consideration any sort of like influence they had on other bands or musicians or anything like that, or if they changed the music or whatever. This is just strictly personal preference.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I took it as these are the 5 albums that I would easily listen to on a constant.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
My favorites.
for the history of our channel, and to continue on, Doppler, go first.
Okay. So I'm not going to necessarily do any honorable mentions, at least not in the sense that they probably will. So, like I said, I did this strictly based off of personal preference, and like Frosty said, I did this as albums that when they came out, I listened to them nonstop, and I can still go back and listen to them over and over and over and over again and not get bored. So I know there's people going to look at it like, well, it completely disagrees with me. That's fine.
There's a lot of people that disagree with us, so.
Yeah, and I'm sure all of us are going to have completely different albums. Now, I'm not saying there might not be 1 or 2 that we might mention together, like, or whatever, but
Or
for the most part,
or like same bands or something.
Yeah. So it did take a while to come up with a list, especially the order of, especially the last 2 and then the order of the last 2.
You had an order?
Yeah, the order was probably the worst part of it.
Oh no, I didn't even put an order. No, I couldn't do that.
Oh, of course
Yeah.
you did.
No, I've got an order. Even though
Me too.
my top 2 are almost like 1A and 1B, they're that close. So my number 5 is from a band that I've been a fan of since really before this album, but this was the album that like really like put them over the top for me. And I remember when it came out, it was again one of those that I listened to over and over and over and over and over and over again. And they are a criminally underrated band in my mind.
Now I'm intrigued.
At least within this band.
I mean, I assume.
At least within metal fan bases anyway. Like they're not as big as they should be. And this was really the album that put them on the map too. And in my opinion, this is, for me personally, my favorite new metal album of all time. And that album is Animosity from Sevendust.
You already knew the devil, you would never run in circles. This that you already knew.
I absolutely love that album. I still go back and listen to it all the time. Matter of fact, I probably listened to it a week ago. There's not a bad song on that album. I'm sure people thinking, oh, you're saying it's best new. What about like Korn's Follow the Leader, Issues, whatever? Get me wrong, those are amazing albums. I love those albums. But if I was going to listen, if I only could listen to one new metal album for the rest of my life, it would be Animosity from Sevendust. But they are a criminally, and in my opinion, underrated band with a fan base. Now, from what I understand and from what I've heard people within the industry say, they are actually one of the most well-respected and... So anyway, now number 4. This one might surprise some people. I don't know. Maybe not. This was a band that back in the time that this album came out, I was a big fan. Nowadays, most of their stuff they put out is garbage. Like, I'll be honest. They, in my opinion, they haven't put out anything good since probably the last 15 years at least.
Ooh. Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't a good song here or there. I know on one of their more recent albums, they had one song that I actually kind of liked.
But the album.
But the albums have been, no.
Damn.
Haven't cared for any of them. But back in the day, their albums were phenomenal, especially this one. I remember when it came out, I listened to it again all the flipping time. Matter of fact, when I was making this list, I went back and listened to it again the other day, like 2 days ago. That album is Clayman from In Flames. Absolutely phenomenal album. Now they also had Just a Race and all that back then too, which was again phenomenal. But Clayman,
Do you realize within modern metal, or even like modernized metal, the Clayman album is what put, as far as the recording world goes, that is one of the most sought after guitar sounds. And that album in particular, if I'm not mistaken, is the reason that we have... Continue on, I'll find it.
Anyway, I absolutely and Bullet Ride, the song Bullet Ride, which I think is the first song on that album, if I remember right. I know I just listened to the first few days ago, but I think it's the first song on the album. It's still my all-time favorite In Flames song. But yeah, that album is just, again, from beginning to end, all the way through, is just absolutely incredible. So now, we move into my top three.
Anyways, okay, sorry. But anyways,
Figure it out.
well, I was trying to find it because I have it, but I'll just put a picture of. So, within recording, being able to get the best guitar sound you can off an amp, and not just like an amp sim, basically. The Clayman, if I'm not mistaken, is what Fredman, I can't remember his first name, but he put a mic straight on the center and one offset to get that lower end sound. And he created the Fredman clip, which is a mic at straight on, and then another one at, I think a 55-degree angle. And so many people have been using that technique since they learned that's how he got that sound. That has been one of the most iconic albums within metal history to be able for a particular guitar sound. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I just like that. It's just been incredible. I don't know what's happened to them. Like I said, over the last 15 years ago, they're not the same group anymore.
Well, what's happened to every other metal group, as far as I'm concerned.
But back in those days with the Clayman album, like I said, just fantastic music. But anyway, so now to my top three. Now, I always knew these three were going to be on the list. Number 3 is from a band we're actually about to talk about in a little bit. I remember this album first came out. Again, fell in love with it. Amazing from beginning to end. It's funny, I remember listening to this album in my car. Now, my dad, he grew up listening to Frank Sinatra and the other Rat Pack and all that stuff from back in the day, right?
Oh, yeah.
He hated today's music. He despised it. I was listening to this album in the car, and all of a sudden, I'm listening to this metal album in the car, and all of a sudden my dad goes, "Who is this?" I tell him, he goes, "They're not bad." And I looked at him and said, "Do what?" What? But I have actually had Pincushion go and listen to this album. We actually made a video about it. And that is The Heart of Everything from Within Temptation. absolutely incredible album. The one thing
Oh.
that I loved about this album was it really, for me, showed Sharon's versatility vocally. Like she had songs where she sang in at higher registers. She had ones where she sang in the lower register. She had ones where she was in the center. And musically, the album, it was one of the first albums for me that kind of really took me on that journey. It came out at a time when I just graduated college and put my dog down, so it was a good distraction for me. You know, because I was kind of becoming an adult now and shit was going on and everything.
Those times.
And
Cheers
yeah.
to those times.
And I it just nonstop listened to it for the longest time. It was the album that made them began to make them at least slightly known here in the States, because the song "All I Need" from that album was was in Vampire Diaries. So, but anyway.
Wait, what?
The song "All I Need" from that Heart of Everything album with Indentation was in the show, in one of the episodes for the show Vampire Diaries. It was a wedding scene.
Oh.
But
well, they had several weddings because no one could stay together in that show.
Yeah.
Like, they went back and forth, back and forth. Oh my god.
I never watched it, but I know a lot of people who did.
It was good in the beginning, and then just, I think her name was Elena. Like, she kept going back between Damien and Stefan and whatever. It was just a constant back and forth, and my wife and I just eventually were like, okay, this is getting predictable, and we just go in watching it.
But anyway, yeah, it was just It's still my favorite album from them, even though Bleed Out is a very close second. Heart of Everything is just
I need to go back and
unbelievable
listen to that.
album.
I need to go back and
And I
listen
even
to that.
saw them. Yeah, it's such a good album. And I actually saw them in concert right after that album came out back in 2007. Again, amazing show. My all-time favorite song from With Indentation, called Our Solemn Hour, was off of that album.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah. So now I move to my top two. Now these top two were kind of like 1A and 1B for me.
That
Like
works.
they're that close. So we'll do 1B, or what number 2 would be, is an album we've talked about quite a bit on this channel. It is from my favorite band. I'm sure they already know which album I'm talking about.
Gee, I wonder what it could be.
It was one of the first albums I'd ever listened to where the whole album had this cohesive theme that just worked, and it was in the exact style like I liked. It was just, and it took you places. It was that album where it was taking you on this ride, and like literally with each song you're like, what's coming next? Like the first time you listen to it, like what's gonna be next? Because it went places at times you didn't expect it to go, but it was still amazing all at the same time.
Did it get you in your naughty places?
Yeah. But the album is Imaginarium for Nightwish.
A catnap in the ghost town of my heart. She dreams of story time and the river ghosts.
Like I said,
Oh.
we talked about it.
So whenever I was editing the video for that, the album is called Imaginarium.
Oh, we've always called it Imaginary. At least I have.
Okay.
It
I
might
just
be
I
called
noticed.
Imaginarium.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
noticed that based on the spelling. I'm like, wait, we kept on saying Imaginarium. That's spelled Imaginarium. Anyways.
But anyway, so the whole album's got like this carnival feel to it, you know, and it was heavily influenced by Danny Elfman. You can really hear it in songs like Scare Tale, for example.
Yeah.
But it's just such an incredible album. Like I've even if you are not a fan of symphonic metal, like Pincushion will tell you, he's not the biggest fan of symphonic metal. If you're just a metalhead in general, listen to the album. I promise you, you will not be disappointed.
My idea of symphonic metal is Septic Flesh, so I'll take that for what it's worth.
Yes. Yeah. But they are a symphonic metal band. They're just, you know, they're more on the harsher side, but they still, not that, you know, if you took some of Nightwish's song and put Septic's vocals to them, There's
Yeah.
a couple that you could pass off as Septic songs, but not many. But anyway, but that would be my number 2.
God, then what's your
Now-
number 1?
Or my 1B.
Or yeah, what's 1A?
Listen to this album too. So 1A, you listened to it too. You weren't as big of a fan of it as I am. You didn't hate it, but you didn't love it. This is a band I've listened to, God, probably as long as I've known Nightwish. They're one of the few bands that I haven't seen in concert yet that I really, 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 really want. Kind of funny, like my dad with the Wind of Temptation album. My mom, again, she would listen to the same kind of music because my dad liked the Rat Pack, and she was a big Dean Martin fan and all that. I was listening to this album one time in the car, and my mom goes, "Who is this?" And I told her, she's like, "I really like his voice." So he's got a good voice.
Dean Martin.
Yeah. Well, that's not who I was listening to, but
I know, but still.
I like the guy's voice. Yeah, well, she was a huge Dean Martin fan.
Dean Martin's not a bad
But
dude.
anyway, no, we got some good music. But anyway, this album, I don't remember when it came out, but it was in the 2000s. And
One of the
for
O's.
me, yeah, one of the closer to mid O's, maybe 07 at the latest. But for me, it is my all-time favorite power metal album, and that album is The Black Halo from Camelot. I absolutely love that album.
That's a good album.
It has always been one of my top. It's always been up there with Imaginarium for me forever.
I remember listening to that
um,
album. That was good.
You gave it, I think, a 7.5, if I remember correctly. If I remember right. So you gave it a decent score. It wasn't
Yeah.
the 9.5 or 9.75, whatever you gave Imaginarium, but it was still a decent score.
Yeah.
This was back when Roy Khan was still a vocalist, which amazing vocalist. And he really shined on songs like Abandon on that album. And of course, this was also the album that you had Zagrath from Dimmu on it. He was on
What did he do?
March of
Cleans?
Mephisto. No, he was doing Harshes.
I need to go back.
Yeah, and March of Mephisto, and he was in Memento Mori, which is probably my favorite song on that album, because that album started soft and slowly built as it went along, and then by the end it was heavy. It's like 8 minute long or something like that. But yeah, he's in that song as well. He also has this song. There's also a song in there with Simone from Epica in it. Why can't I remember what that song? I keep wanting to say Going Hunting, but that's an Avatar song. I can't remember what that song was called. My mind's blank. But you threw me on Desert Island, told me I can only have 2 albums. I will take Imaginarium and The Black Halo with me.
Nice.
Those would be my top 5.
Damn good choices. So
yeah.
I guess I'm next. So my 5th one, I think I was able to manage kind of go in somewhat order, even though it was an absolute struggle. My 5th one, this is one that honestly just really grabbed me by my soul into ways I cannot put into words. And I mean, it might be surprising to some, but it really touched me in ways I can't fully explain. And as the album,
You in those secret places.
oh, it did, and that is the latest album from
Get a
Billie.
little head dope.
That is the latest album from Billie Eilish. I mean Eilish. I'm fucking with you guys. Okay, no,
Billie Eilish.
for you guys to actually like that artist, that's fine. I wanted to make it funny. Just don't pitchfork
There are
me.
actually a decent amount of metal fans that are fans of hers, so I don't think
I-
you get too much trouble.
Okay, well, I mean,
Maybe not to the extent of Lady Gaga or something, but still, yeah.
No, she's great, but that was please just a joke. Just don't throw the pitchforks yet. So, in all honesty, this was, to say that this whole process was torture is an understatement for me. God, I wrecked my fucking head. Funny enough, the top 3 were much easier than the last 2. I
Yeah,
didn't think it would be that way.
That's
I
insane.
didn't think it'd be that way. Well, at number 5, this is what I struggled with, and this is what's going to have honorable mentions. This is something that Doppler showed me back at our 2 workplaces ago. And I had heard about them, but really didn't get into them until he said that, hey, this group did a cover of this track. I'm like, oh, okay. So I listened to it, and I'm like, damn, that was pretty groovy. And he goes, you want to hear the original? I'm like, sure. And so I heard the original. I'm like, what album is this off of? And then I listened to that album, and I'm like, dear God. And I've been a fan ever since this album. And this, number 5, is Sabaton's The Great War.
Into the fires from hell, they are gone, not able to be. Enter the wall from over the sea. Intervene 1918, all the way from Tennessee into 123.
The track that got me into them was 82nd All the Way.
Yep, still your favorite. Last I knew, it was still your favorite song by then.
Close.
Yo, yeah.
It battles for first place, but it was groovy. Just everything on it I would want to sing along to. Eventually I want to try and do a cover of 82nd All the Way, but it's difficult to play for me. I'm not as decent as I used to be.
In case for those that are wondering, Amaranth was the one that did the cover of it.
Yes, forgot to mention that. Well, okay, I knew if I had mentioned Amaranth, you would have known exactly who I was talking about. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it was difficult because I would the last few days I've been listening to several albums to figure out which one could I continuously listen to and which one gravitated me the most. And The Great War was just something I started to sing along to. It was fun, and it has their epic piece, self-titled track, The Great War, and it was just
Great War.
that one's a tearjerker. You're fine.
Yeah.
If you listen to the lyrics, it'll bring a tear to your eye.
They have several songs that can do that if you really listen to the lyrics.
Lady of the Dark is the same way for me.
Yeah. And No Bullets Fly is another one.
Yeah. I wish this track was on this album because it would have made it even greater, but the track that I find one of the most fun from them is
They have a lot, so I can't help you.
Ghost Division.
Ghost Division. I literally was
Yes.
saying it because I started thinking about Jessica Johnson.
Such a
That's what
fun
they
track.
open with all the time.
Now, I'm going to give my honorable mentions at the end to try and make this a little interesting. So the way I went about my top 5, mind you, I listened to various aspects of metal. I'm a big black metal fan, death metal depending, just straight like groove, standard metal, and some power metal. So I kind of went into each genre and picked what album I've really enjoyed and then kind of grabbed it from there. So as far as death metal, or kind of like, there's some groups that I like the progressive elements. I enjoy whenever they diversify it a little bit and bring variation to it and do stuff that you wouldn't typically do in a metal album, but you make it work. And these guys have not put out a bad album ever to me. There are albums I do like more than others. There are albums I don't like as much as others, but they have never put out a bad album. But this group, funny enough, this is their latest album that I loved, absolutely loved, and this is Opeth's The Last Will and Testament.
Oh yeah, that was a good album. One time about one that told a story. Literally, that's what it was.
Exactly. And so, Opeth is a group for me that I have loved for a long time. The very first time I heard them was probably
2012, maybe.
no, earlier than that, way earlier. This was
that
done.
was probably 2011 is when I heard about them.
This album came out in 2008. And the track that I heard back whenever Headbangers Ball was still going on, I was on the computer and I heard this and I loved it because of the doom aspect of it. But then they had soft, just beautiful instrumental, and this is still my favorite track from them. They played Porcelain Heart, and Mikhail's vocals on this are just breathtaking. Like his vocals have always been breathtaking to me. They are literally one of my absolute all-time favorite groups. I mean, I've got a shirt of theirs recently. Whenever I bought Last Will and Testament, which I do want to get majority of the rest of their discography, like physical copy, but that'll come later. But yeah, that was my number 4. Number 3 might surprise you guys actually, as for placement. Number 3 is a group
Depends.
I love. They are one of my absolute favorite all-time groups. I heard of them back whenever I was in high school, my freshman year. And a friend of mine was playing a track of theirs, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty aggressive. Who is this? And she answered. I'm like, oh, okay. So I listened to their discography, listened to more of their stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is encompassing everything that I have come to really enjoy. And then they came out with this album, and it was just unrelenting, in your face. This album is Lamb of God's Wrath.
So go and weave your tail up, whoa, convincing yourself that so you're so sad to
I knew it was gonna be Lamb of God. I don't know which one is it.
I was like sitting here trying to remember like high school. What were you listening to? And I knew there was that, but I was like,
No, I
What
knew
album?
as soon as you started it was gonna be Lamb of God. I was just which one.
Wrath just
Yeah,
Wrath
basically.
opens up so beautifully, and then it has a amazing drum fill. Or no, that's the album Resolution. But this, In Your Words, just right in your face. And then they come out with Contractor, where you get a woohoo, and then you're like, okay, and then just in your face, nose nonstop, just
that one
pummeling.
reminds me of your wife every time.
I know.
Contractor reminds me of your wife every time it comes
but-
on.
Contractor, and then it doesn't stop up until, like, I can't remember which track, but then they have Broken Hands, which is
Broken Hammer. Actually, I think that was my favorite on that one.
because it's
remember
such
I
a
like
good
Broken
one.
Hands. I think In Your Words was my favorite one
Yeah.
on that one.
The
Broken
rest,
Hands was my favorite.
the musical rest that's on Broken
Yeah.
Hands, it just pummels into it, just so well done. But because it's shit ton of energy, it just gets you in the groove, and it makes you want to just not start beating shit up. But it's just, if you're having like tough to find motivation to do stuff during your day, I will put on Wrath, and I'm done, I'm going. And so, but yeah, Lamb of God Wrath, I struggle because some people say, why didn't you do Sacrament? Because Sacrament's so goddamn overplayed. I don't know how many fucking times I've heard someone say, well, I like Lamb of God, I don't remember what track it is.
Walk with me in hell.
No. Oh, no, that's not the one. No. Oh, yeah, I like Lamb of God. What is it? This is a motherfucking if. And I'm like, God damn, you're talking about redneck. And it's just, that's a main one that everyone
Well, we do
knows.
live in the South.
That's a main one that everyone says besides Laid to Rest. And, which Laid to Rest was on Ashes of the Wake, if I'm not mistaken. But,
Ashes of the Wake, yep.
yeah. Well, one of my favorite tracks from them is actually on As the Palaces Burn, if I'm not mistaken, and that is Ruin. But yeah, Lamb of God has number 3 for me. Number 2,
That's surprising.
Number 2, we're going black metal. So I do apologize, elitists. This is not a traditional black metal album. I was going to put a more of a traditional black metal album on here, but there are ones that for me I would go more back into listening. This group has been one of my favorite black metal groups from the beginning, and honestly, they were my gateway into black metal. This one was the magnum opus album that they made. Even though they've had ones that were just good, if not better, this is the one where they harnessed what they were capable of and took the world by storm, and that is Behemoth the Satanist. there is, like, it just, from beginning to end, there's not a bad track on there. I actually have a necklace from Ora Pro Nobis Lucifer. I just haven't worn it because it is like a thin bronze necklace. And I don't want it to get messed up, so I'll like wear it on a day where I'm like casually out. Number 1 for me. I'll be surprised if you guys don't guess this one, or at least guess the artist. This is, honestly, I have to thank my father for this because.
Oh, yep, I already know. I already know.
I think I might know.
No, I know exactly. I'm pretty sure I even know which album.
It's gonna be
Go ahead.
interesting.
I wouldn't know the album, but I think I know the
I'm
band.
not
at
100%
least.
sure. It's one of two. It's one of two. So go ahead. One of 2 albums.
So whenever I was 10 or 11, my father showed me Van Halen. And I'm like, okay, this got me into playing guitar. This group and this album is what made me a metalhead from the very beginning. Back in 2000 or 01. I don't remember which. But it was this show where they had a robot come up from the stage and carry the vocalist. And it was an epic metal fest. This album is Judas Priest's Screaming for Vengeance.
Yep. I figured it was either that one or what was the other one called?
Painkiller? Or no?
No,
Firepower?
it might have been Firepower. I
Yeah.
can't remember. But no, I was leaning Screaming for Vengeance though. That was definitely where I was.
Screaming for Vengeance has just.
I almost
Yeah,
expected you to
I
pull
couldn't
the
tell
shirt
the
up.
album. I knew.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you the album, but I
definitely.
definitely knew it
I was
that
going to
one.
wear the
Yeah.
shirt, but currently it's
That
in
band.
boxes because I haven't gotten the dressers out and made up yet.
Oh.
But on this
I thought
album,
you'd be like,
Yeah.
this album.
yeah. Oh, I actually don't have a Screaming for Vengeance shirt.
Huh?
I don't have a Screaming for Vengeance shirt.
Oh, I thought you did. I don't know why.
I
thought
have
you
British
did.
Steel.
Okay. I
But
must have been thinking of them, but no.
Screaming for
Yeah.
Vengeance because, for one thing, this is just this has what many would consider. This album has the tracks you cannot. There are memes about this. You cannot listen to one without the other, which is Electric Eye. That was the first track the Hellion and Electric Eye. That was the first track I heard. It was the metal track besides Painkiller. But this also has You've Got Another Thing Coming, which is just fun to sing. Besides Living After Midnight.
Yeah.
Now, for my honorable mentions, because dear God, did this task kill me inside. There are honestly 2 or 3 albums. The first one that I considered, which got me into the darker aspects of metal, and it was what a lot of people back in the day were like, this is metal for the new age. She has one of the most incredible voices that I have ever heard within metal. This is Evanescence Fallen.
Perfect by nature, icons of self-indulgence.
That is a good album.
Yeah.
It was, I almost put it on here, but there were other albums I obviously considered. One of the other album that almost made it on this list was more melodic death metal. It's one of their best albums in my opinion. Still is to this day. And that is Amon Amarth, Deceiver of the Gods. The other one, as far as traditional black metal goes, because I did want to put traditional black metal where I did enjoy that. Technically, there's a couple, but like the other album I was considering putting was because of just how much of a groove and how much I enjoy it, even though it is more modern metal. It is Dark Funerals, We Are the Apocalypse. The other album that is more traditional that I absolutely love with every bit of my being is... I almost forgot the name of the album. And the name of the group. Gorgoroth Pentagram. It is their first album, and it is the best of traditional black metal to me. And that would thankfully conclude my top 5, because oh my god, there were so many moments I just wanted to beat my head on the steering wheel because I was trying to figure out where to place everything. So there it is. I'm locking in my answer. Frost to go next before I decide to screw this list up again.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and pre-warn the viewers.
All of his choices suck.
My spectrum of albums is I like songs on albums. I don't typically listen to albums entirely. If I do, they're probably on this list. However, 9 times out of 10, I typically only like certain songs by bands, and then it just builds up over time into what could potentially be an album from that group. But I picked the albums in this list based off of the ones that like
Had the most songs you liked.
the most songs that I liked on it that really kind of spoke to me. And then on top of that, I do have, I think, 3. Yeah, I do. 3 albums. So there's 2 that picked had most songs I like. But 3 that I have listened to the entirety of the album, absolutely enjoyed, absolutely loved. And yeah. I do have 2 honorable mentions. I could potentially a third one as well, but I'll get to those last. So my 5th favorite album, I'm trying to remember.
You're having like me, you forget the album.
No, I know the name. I have them all written right here in front of me. The problem is I'm trying to remember when I got introduced to them.
Oh, I gotcha. I think I know one of your albums are though.
You probably know at least 2 of them.
Probably.
I would argue 2. You know one for damn sure, and then the second one, you're my introduction, and I'll get to that. So anyway, the 5th favorite album is by an older group. I think the first time I remember hearing stuff from them was back in high school. Yeah, it was back in high school. I was like starting to get into rock, metal. Pencushion's the one that gets me into the heavier stuff. But I mean, at this group, I don't consider like extreme heavy, like, you know, death metal, black metal, whatever. It's just I enjoy.
You don't typically listen to that
on the
so.
album, but no, I don't. I like. I'm straight metalcore. That's usually what I am.
It's okay, we still accept
But
them.
no, get Pencushion more than anything. But the album that I chose was The Number of the Beast from Iron Maiden.
Somebody please tell me that I'm dreaming. It's not easy to stop from screaming. The words escape me when I'm trying to speak.
Ooh,
As my 5th
Yeah.
favorite
damn
album.
good choice. Damn good choice.
Yeah, that is a good choice. Yeah.
I like a lot of different Iron Maiden songs, but this is the album that had the most songs on it that I
Wait.
enjoyed.
Is Run to the Hills on that album, or is that New World?
Run to the Hills is on a different one. I
It
think
must
it's
be
on
a New World. Yeah.
But I enjoyed the Number of the Beast album a lot more than the other ones. I mean, I almost put Fear of the Dark, but
I
The
love
Number of the
that song.
Beast
That's my
was-
all-time. Fear of the Dark's my favorite song by them.
oh yeah. I mean, it was this was probably one of the hardest choices I had to make on this list because of that. It was like, which one are we doing? Fear of the Dark, Number of the Beast. Which one we go? I had to go with Number of the Beast. Number of the Beast got it for me. But yeah, no, Number of the Beast is definitely my 5th choice. My 4th choice is also another older group, and it's another album that I haven't listened to all of it entirely. However, I definitely got introduced to this one back in high school by Pincushion.
I know who
And
it is.
you don't know who it is. You might remember, but it's not who you think, or at least maybe not. Uh, but it does have a lot more songs on it that I have enjoyed thoroughly from them. So this group, this album is Holy Diver from Dio.
It's the same old song. You gotta be somewhere sometime, and they never let you fly.
I knew it was gonna be Dio. I knew it was gonna be Dio. I knew it was gonna be Holy Diver too.
You wish you knew. I enjoyed the Holy Diver album. I really did.
I
really
actually
did. I mean, he's
contemplated
got a
that.
lot of great stuff, but
I
Holy
contemplated putting that in top 5. but
Really?
Yeah, I did, but other ones kind of won over.
that's okay. I put it on mine, so it's at least in the video.
There you go.
There we go. My 3rd pick, my 3rd album, a different album, but the same group that you put for your 3rd Pincushion.
Go on.
You introduced them to me. The very first song that I ever heard from this group is on this album. And anytime I get to a point where I need to calm down, I need to relax, I need to clear my head, usually this is the album that I put on in the car while I'm driving, just to get all the stress out, just to enjoy the drive, just to try to
I'm
relax.
waiting for it.
And
I'm
this
waiting
one
for
is
it.
Ashes of the Wake from Lamb of God.
Endless mornings combine the dawn razor, whipping the nightmares to a froth.
Yep.
This is by far my favorite Lamb of God album. I had to put Lamb of God in this list.
I knew you would because just
There was no way I couldn't.
they're such a nice.
I mean, there's
they're nice in between of the heavier metal, but also fulfilling your metalcore aspect. So
yeah, and I mean their screams and everything. I mean they're super crisp, super clear. You can
That's why
clearly understand what
Randy
they're saying.
has the best
love every
metal
second of it.
vocals. Randy has the best distinguishable metal vocals as far as screaming is concerned.
Yep. So yes, no. Ashes of the Wake definitely made my top 5. My top 2 albums. I almost beat myself up because I almost put my second choice as my first choice.
Okay.
I almost beat myself up, but I couldn't do it. There was just, when we talked about it, there was a moment where I almost wanted it to be the best, and I just couldn't. But my second choice, is the exact same one that Doppler chose as his second choice. Imaginarium from fucking Nightwish.
Once upon a time in a day, dying to meet you, little child, enter.
It is that good of an album. I mean, Doppler said it.
really
We've
is.
all said our own pieces on this album in this channel at some point in
I
time.
had contemplated putting that
This
album in my top 5.
absolutely.
I half expected
I'm
it to be in
surprised we didn't all have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised we all didn't have it in our top 5. But I mean, at the same time, it's definitely there. It is definitely there. I mean, every bit of this album just screamed yes to me, 100%. I mean, it played to the nerd, it played to the band geek, it played to the my love of Danny Elfman scores, like all of it. Every bit of this album was absolutely 100% wonderful and well done. And I hate that I didn't have any knowledge of it prior to recent. I hate that I hadn't listened to it earlier. Now,
Better late than never.
my top. Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad it's finally here in my listening spectrum.
Yeah.
But now, my top favorite album is by far it has my all-time favorite song I've ever listened to, period. And I think that might be why this is my top album ever.
Okay.
It's by my favorite band.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of my earliest memories of mine and Pencushion's friendship, actually.
I know who it is.
He showed me the title track for this album. That was my very first introduction to this group
Yep.
ever, back in, I think it was 07.
No, it was
It
08.
was either 07 or 08. It was 08. So yeah, no, you were the one who showed me the title track for this album, and funnily enough, that's not my favorite track. That's not my all-time favorite
Oh,
song.
I know
but
it's-
my
I know-
all-time
I know
favorite
it's
song
not.
is on this track.
Mm-hmm.
Period. It is on this album. Period. I almost put a different album by this group, but this one cemented it for me, and it had to be Scream, Aim, Fire from Bullet for My Valentine.
I knew that's what it
Period.
was.
My Hearts Burst in Fire
Yep.
is by far my all-time favorite song ever from
I
this
know.
group, from any group, period. And it is on this track. And I mean, every bit of this track, every bit of this album flows smoothly to me. And I have listened to it on repeat. I've listened to it nonstop. If I don't know what to listen to, if I've listened to everything in my playlist, and I just need something just to kind of get me through the rest of the day or something, this is the album that I would throw on.
Shit, I
Period.
remember
Every
whenever
bit of this one is my favorite.
You remember back whenever they would do commercials for albums back in those days? I remember one other commercial for this album
Yep.
first came up, and it was like, the new album from Bullet for My Valentine. Scream, aim, fire.
The new album from Bullet for My Valentine. Scream, aim, fire. Scream, aim, fire.
And it was right at the bridge where Matt's doing his like low screams, and then that ending, and I'm like, back in the day, mind you, I'm like, God damn, that's intense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, now I guess to my honorable mentions.
Okay, let's see what you got.
But definitely,
here.
I had to have Bullet in this top 5. There
I
was
knew
no
it was
way
going to
around
be.
it.
I knew it was.
that.
Yeah.
But yes, I swear you probably knew my top album was a Bullet album. Period. It
Mhm.
didn't matter what it had to have been. But anyway, so my honorable mentions, I've definitely got Fear of the Dark from Iron Maiden.
Run your fingers down the wall and have you found your next call when you're searching for the light.
We've already talked about that. A group that I like listening to a lot, but back in the day when a different singer was in the band, Killswitch. So the album that I would almost have put on this was The End of Heartache.
This distance, this dissolution, I cling to memories.
Yep.
From Killswitch.
Damn good album.
Almost put that one on there. You damn right.
Well, I mean, it was whenever
the
we
other
first learned to kill switch as well.
Yeah, it was pretty much roughly about the same time that I got introduced to. When I was introduced to Bullet, was roughly about the same time I was introduced to Killswitch.
Hmm.
So
Back
it was
whenever
roughly about
metalcore,
that time.
back when metalcore was actually good.
The other album from Bullet that I almost put on this list just because of how amazing the album is. But it didn't have my favorite. My favorite track on it was "The Poison."
Lord, you know I've cried 1,000 tears tonight, but nothing seems to quench the thirst. You keep on craving.
I almost put "The Poison."
I was
on
wondering
this-
if you were going to
on
put
this
that, but
list.
I was between either the Poison or Screaming Fire as to which one would be your favorite.
Yeah. I was going for my very first one. I had to. But my last honorable mention, I almost put this album on this list because I came out of the womb listening to this band. I remember, I've also been told stories and all this, from when I was a toddler. But apparently, I would listen to this.
Hold on, so you
Listen to
came,
this album in the car all the time.
so
way
you
back
came
when.
out of the womb listening to this? What was it? Blinded by the light?
Blinded
By the light, red like a in the middle of the night.
Anyway,
Anyways,
But no, like this band, I have like, even when I didn't listen to metal, when I didn't listen to rock, anything like that, this was a group that I knew of that I listened to at least one or two of their tracks prior to when I started to remember things.
I gotta
But
use the restroom. Give me a moment.
I almost put Paranoid by Black Sabbath.
Politicians hide themselves away. They only started the war.
oh, that's
On
a
this
good album.
list.
I was considering Black Sabbath as well, but yeah.
That's a good album.
Those are my honorable mentions. If it wasn't for, all the other ones that I've actually put on my 5, it would definitely be
My pen could
probably those honorable mentions.
just walked up and left.
Oh, so here's a funny one for you guys.
Hmm.
So, Frosty knows that. Well, hello again. Or Doppler knows that, like, whenever I was out on the road, I was watching Ola England a lot, and I have been a member of his for 4 years now, or 5 years. I got the membership to where I was able to get this shirt.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And what's even cooler? Yeah,
I
that
remember
actually,
we actually reviewed one of his songs, and he even commented on the video. And I remember I told you about that. You're like, what?
Ola or Trivox?
No, but Trivax did too. You noticed that one.
Yeah.
There was also one where
I didn't realize-
November's Doom.
November.
Guy
Oh
from
yeah,
November's
November's Doom.
He commented too.
Yeah. So yeah, Frosty, we've actually had guys from the groups actually comment on our stuff. But yeah, I think it was
Heck yeah.
really awesome. I actually got my YouTube name on here for his membership. But anywho, oh, by the way,
it?
that's it. Yes. One thing I need to do, Doppler. What was your number 5 again?
My number 5 was Animosity from Seven Dust.
Okay, which is your favorite track from that album? So what I'm going to do for this video is whichever album we have, I'm going to put the album cover up and then a snippet of the audio from that album. So like whatever our favorite track is from that album, I'm going to have a 10-second snippet of it.
And for all of you viewers, remember that every bit of our decisions in this video is our own personal opinions. I know we've already stated this at the beginning of the video. However, don't hate us, please.
They're going to hate us anyway.
We have our own personal opinions.
No, Frosty.
You have your own personal opinions. We definitely understand that.
Frosty, you weren't around.
Probably praised or praised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Frosty, you were not
Praise
around.
was a good one.
Frosty, you were not around whenever we almost had to stop doing Love Bites.
Oh gosh, that was nuts.
I knew of something going on in comment sections.
No, it got to the point to where people were going fucking rabid in the comment section, and then going to our other videos, to other commenters, and saying, hey, you should see what they said about this. You should see what they said about this. Now they said it was trash. You know they're wrong because you know how great this album actually is. They were going to other videos and commenting on it to other people, telling them, hey, watch this video and see how wrong they are.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah, it was.
Well, like
no-
I mean, I knew of a lot of that stuff because I mean I would hear it from you guys. Not to mention I would watch the channel
yeah, no,
when you guys would put
we
out
were
new stuff.
that close to stopping doing Love Bites
Love Bites, yeah.
requests.
And then we finally said, you know what? We're gonna give it one more shot.
And we got a better setup, and
But yeah.
and it went better, but still just that was
Yeah.
uncalled for. What was your number 4, Doppler?
My number 4 was Clayman from In Flames, and Bullet Ride's my favorite song on that.
What is number 3?
I'm sure it's the heart of everything from Within Temptation.
All right, what's
The
track?
song is Our Solemn Hour.
Number 3
Number 2,
or
you mean?
2, yeah.
That was Imaginarium from Nightwish. Song of Myself is my favorite. And number 1 is Black Halo from Camelot. And this favorite song was Memento Mori.
And for you, Frosty, what was your number? Your number 5 was Number of the Beast.
My number 5 was Number of the Beast, and my favorite one on that is Hallowed Be Thy Name. Yeah, well, I mean, it's mostly everyone's favorite.
Yeah. Well, most everyone's favorite is Number of the Beast title track. What's number 4 again?
Number 4 was Holy Diver from Dio. And my favorite one on that one is... My favorite one on that one was Stand Up and Shout.
Number 3 was...
Ashes of the Wake.
Okay.
And my favorite track on that is Break You.
It's playing in my head now, of course. Number 2.
My number 2 is also Doppler's number 2 is Imaginarium. My favorite track on that was Scaretale. And now I know we're not writing it down, but I would like to know your favorite track on each one of your albums there, since
Oh, okay.
we get to tell ours.
Well, I'm also doing this for the video's sake, but yeah. So off the
Yep.
Great War, 82nd All the Way.
Yep, I can do
Mhm.
that one.
On Opeths.
Yeah, I knew that one. Yeah.
On Opus is hard because they're all just paragraphs.
All of them. All of them.
If you had heard the album, you would know why you would say that, because it's literally
Okay.
almost like one long
Okay,
song
okay, yeah.
broken into parts.
Okay, next video,
Mhm.
Frosty's gonna listen to Opeth's Last Will and Testament, and he's gonna give his review.
Poor guy.
Don't worry, you'll enjoy it. From Wrath, it's got it's between Contractor and Broken Hands. Like, I probably am gonna list Contractor though. Behemoth's on the Satanist album is probably Orpanovis Lucifer. Judas Priest, Helion and Electric Eye. Electric Eye. Oh, Frosty, you had honorable mentions. That's right. What were your honorable mentions?
I did. My honorable mentions was Fear of the Dark. Fear of the Dark is definitely my favorite on that. End of
And-
Heartache
So title track.
on End of Heartache. Oh, The Poison. I like Cries in Vain from Sabbath. Paranoid. It was probably War Pigs.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I was-
boy, I
yeah.
was smacking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
For my honorable mentions, the favorite tracks from Evanescence's Fallen, it would funny enough, potentially Everybody's Full.
See that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to cover it, honestly. Amon Amarth, Deceiver of the Gods, potentially the title track, I think.
Hmm.
For Dark Funeral, probably Nightfall. For Gorgoroth, to be honest, any of them, because they all sound the same. I'm not gonna lie. It's traditional black metal. I mean, come on. But yes, guys, that was, guys and gals, whoever you are, whatever
Long
you are.
video.
We hope you enjoyed watching us torture ourselves with our personal top 5 album choices. And if you have a top 5, go ahead and list it. If you want us to do like a potentially top 10 or anything else, then go ahead and mention it. We'll see what we can do. But until next time, guys, as always, keep rolling heavy.